you want to say for the video?
Not even a clue. But I kind of wanted you to explain it, I guess. Not mostly from your perspective of the night, of how it kind of went down.
Okay.
And I want to fill in my side. Like,
sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
That work?
Sure. We mostly wanted to give an update on Joel's mom and how she's doing. One, because so many people have asked about her, and with what recently has been going on, we thought it would be a good time to give everyone an update all at once.
And it's kind of timely because this really is pretty much your 2-year mark.
Is it really?
It's like October-ish, I think, was when we found out for sure. It was roughly around then. So we're at the 2-year mark right now.
Wow. So Joel's mom was diagnosed with stage 4 kidney cancer. It metastasized into her heart. She had open heart surgery. It wasn't open heart surgery.
Yeah.
Oh my
She had
gosh,
open heart surgery to remove what they thought was a tumor. It ended up being cancer. And total phenomenon. She's kind of a celebrity at the hospital now when we go in. She's known there, which is kind of fun. And there's actually journals, medical journals that have been posted about it. Because it's never been done, never been seen before. So,
and that will come into play as we tell you the rest of the story. So the other night we were laying in bed. It was probably around 11-ish. Mm-hmm. We were almost ready to turn the lights out and go to sleep, and we got a text from Joel's dad that basically just said, "I'm on the way to the hospital with your mom."
Well, mom's in an ambulance, and I'm following to the hospital right now. And that was all we knew.
And it's strange when you get a text. Sometimes you feel like, oh, you just want to be like, oh, what happened, and inquire more. But it was just a feeling of, we knew that it wasn't good.
Yeah.
And so as soon as he got the text, as soon as we got the text, I started crying. Like, it was just like, no, because for the last 2 years, she has been very steady, and we've talked about that multiple times, just how thankful we are that she's on immunotherapy, and that therapy has kept her cancer at bay, because her cancer cannot be cured. She cannot do chemo.
Nope.
And so, it's hailing outside. I thought it was ladies pitter-patter.
Me too.
So she's been very stable. It hasn't grown. It shrunk a little in the beginning, but it's mostly just stayed the same. And that has been so wonderful.
Yeah.
And her spirits, I feel like, have stayed pretty stable. I mean, obviously you're going to have ups and downs, but that's the feeling that we've had lately, that it's just, we're so thankful that it's been neutral.
Very neutral. I have felt, though, that she's growing weaker.
Yeah.
You can see her growing weaker. The medicine is still hard on her body, and but it's not slowing her down much at all, really. She keeps going. Well,
the good and the bad of it is they're wanting to get things done. They're wanting to go places. They're wanting to see things. People are pulling them. Each kid is like, I want you to come with me. I want you to come with me.
They've traveled more in the past 2 years than I think I've seen them in my whole life.
Ever. And I think it's wonderful, but also it kind of, I feel bad, because that's really hard on her. She's tired, but she's the biggest trooper you've ever known. Mm-hmm. So when we got the text, I just immediately cried, because it's just the unknown, and it just kind of felt like,
It felt really heavy. It didn't feel like a normal, like, oh, mom fell, we got to go to the hospital. It was like, mom's unresponsive, we're going to the hospital. It was very scary. I was really, really nervous. So I thought, we've just got to go. I've got to go.
Yeah, there was nothing even said. He just got up, started getting dressed. He called his dad. His dad couldn't even talk. And Joel just said, I'm on my way. And his dad barely got out the words, thank you. So he went and spent most of the night at the hospital with his mom.
Yeah, I walked in and it was really wild, because the ER doctor, I happened to be in there right as the ER doctor was coming in. I don't know what the word is, but he immediately just went to worst case scenario, let's start running every test we can, a CT scan, a full blood panel, just everything. And then they started pumping her full of antibiotics. They didn't even know what was wrong. they just knew she was unresponsive. And when I saw my mom, it's like she could stare through me. I could see her eyes. I knew she recognized me. That was very apparent. She did not know where she was, and she didn't know what was going on, and it looked rough. It looked really, really rough. I was very nervous about it. It almost looked like she'd had a stroke, and that was one of the worries the doctor had. And
she doesn't remember any.
She doesn't remember any of it. So they started running tests, and once they got fluids in her, she actually started coming to. And from the moment I got there till I left, I just stayed by her side and held her hand. And they were really her heart rate was through the roof. Her breathing was really heavy, and things just weren't going well. But it was kind of strange. I feel like it's because I held her hand. Maybe that's just me wishful thinking. But once I was holding her hand, and obviously they were working on her, things calmed down and her heart rate started to drop. It's actually still up to this day, and it's almost been a week. But it was rough there for a minute, and she just had no idea what was going on. She came to and started asking what's going on. And my dad explained, do you remember the neighbor coming over and kind of doing a check on you? And she's like, nope. And she doesn't remember the 6 EMTs that came into the house and got her out the door. She doesn't remember any of it until she got to the hospital. And anyway, come to find out, she had been very sick a few days before, where she was in bed most of the time. She wasn't eating or drinking anything, and she felt very nauseous. And right now, pneumonia's rampant, and so is the flu. And so we just kind of thought, it's probably just the flu. But turns out it wasn't at all. It was actually an infection brewing in her body. They think it started in her gallbladder, but they're not entirely sure. But it started there and kind of spread. And she was very sick, very ill. And I think if we wouldn't have taken action that night, I don't know that she would have made it through the night, in all honesty. I really don't.
She was in a very, very bad way.
Very fragile state. And she's in a fragile state right now with all that's going on. Even when she's as healthy as can be, it's fragile with all that infection that we had no idea of. It was really scary. I was very nervous about things. But surprisingly, once they got fluids in her, got the antibiotics in her, within an hour of all that treatment being done, so maybe 2 hours after we were at the hospital, she was actually coherent and talking with us a little bit and kind of joking a little bit. And she got a little stronger the more they would give her, the more fluids they would give her. So anyway, so we stayed till I stayed till about 1 o'clock. No, I stayed till 1. And my brother Josh was there with me and my dad, and they admitted her to the hospital, and they said, we're gonna run a whole gauntlet of more tests to kind of see what's going on, but she's stable and things look good, so you guys can head home. So my dad stayed with her, and me and my brother left. And Bonnie, I told her to stay or go to bed, but I left because I knew it would be late, but
I couldn't.
She couldn't. So we talked somewhat on the drive home, and then at some point I said, you got to go to bed.
Well, so he was like, I'll be home in like 20 minutes. So I'm like, great. So I turned my phone off, and I just closed my eyes thinking that I'd wake up as soon as you walked in. And this is why I was smiling a second ago, because I turned the alarm off.
Yeah.
Like, I turned the alarm off so that you wouldn't have to worry about it. And so then I thought, okay, great, he'll just walk in. But I forgot I locked the door.
Deadbolted the doors.
And so we got home at 2 o'clock, 20 minutes after we had talked or so, or I don't know, and I fell asleep. He knocked on the door.
Well, I knocked on the door, and nobody answered. I thought, I don't want to pound that loud. I don't want to startle anybody. I don't want to...
He should have startled us to get us away.
And then I called Bonnie like 3 times, but she keeps her phone on silent. And so there was no answering. And I thought, well, I'm just going to...
I don't know why he didn't ring the doorbell.
I honestly, in my mind, was like, what should I be doing here? Should I just climb up the balcony? I just had no idea. And I was like, I'm too tired.
So he got in the Suburban and slept for an hour.
The garage is warm. I was like, well, I won't freeze.
Heated.
So
he slept in the Suburban, and then I just woke up thinking, oh, where's Joel? And as soon as I looked at my phone, he happened to be calling me right then.
Yeah, after an hour of being uncomfortable, like, I'm going to try again. And sure enough.
It just shows your demeanor, because you were just like, okay, I'll sleep in the car. I would have been like, I would have lit the house on fire and been like, are you going to let me in or what?
Well, I didn't want to go to like the kids' bedrooms or anything to like just scare them to death.
No, you wouldn't have scared them. Knocked on the front door and I would have woke up.
I probably should have rang the doorbell.
So then he finally came in at 3 and we both just like crashed.
So tired.
Anyway,
we went. So the next day they started running tests on all. Oh, one of the things the ER doctor said, do you have pain anywhere? And my mom was like, no, other than my side. It really hurts. Her side really hurts. So he started checking and he was like, that's your gallbladder. I think you've got gallstones or something. Something's going on there. And that's where they kind of diagnosed that was the center of the infection, they think. But the problem was all the infection caused her breathing to be erratic. It caused her heart to go in AFib, which was really scary. And so the next day, though, they were like, we need to run a lot more tests and figure things out, kind of dial it in more. So luckily she was getting kind of around the clock care, getting more IV fluids. She still didn't have much of an appetite at all, which that kind of alarmed me a little bit. I thought, oh, that's kind of rough when they lose their appetite, when people lose their appetite, when they're that vulnerable, it usually kind of sets a new path, I feel like, you know.
Like a new baseline almost.
Yeah, and you don't come back from that sometimes. So, but luckily the next day, she got her appetite back a little bit. We were able to take her some Chick-fil-A. She was happy about that. And so they've done tests. They know that it's her gallbladder. They're not gonna work on anything immediate because the problems that she does have, we don't know what started them, what ultimately caused them to come about. What we do know is the effects of them, and if we were to take out her gallbladder right now, she would have to go off of her cancer treatment for a long time.
And she's not gonna do that. She doesn't want to do that.
We don't want to do that. So we're kind of
it's too high risk for introducing more infection.
Yeah, she's very vulnerable to any kind of infection. So anytime a grandkid has a cold or something like that, we have to really keep at bay from grandma to protect her. But as of right now, she's home. She was in the hospital for 3 days and now she's home. She's regaining her strength. She's planning on Thanksgiving as is. And she's ready to party. Months ago, Bonnie said, I think we need to get your family together for Thanksgiving. So like June, July-ish, Bonnie sent out messages to all my brothers and said, hey, we need to, it came from me, but it's Bonnie behind it. So if any of my brothers are wondering, that was Bonnie. But she said, I think we need to get all the boys together and all the family together to get family pictures with your mom while mom is healthy and just to get everybody together.
Well, your mom and dad have wanted a family photo for so many years, and we've just never all been together at once.
I think the last time we got one was when we got married.
And yeah, and I know that's what your mom has wanted, and I knew that I didn't want, like I said, we were very aware that things have been going well, and I just feared that we would wait too long and we'd never get that family photo with her in as good of health as she's going to be in. And I didn't want that to decline before we got that photo. So all the brothers really made sure that we
got everyone
here. And they're all going to be here. And we've got a photographer lined up. And instead of venturing out, we're going to do it right in the driveway. There's a pretty backdrop. She won't have to walk far.
Yep.
We will literally get everyone set up. We'll walk your mom out, we'll get the photo, and that'll be that.
That'll be done.
So,
it'll be easy peasy.
Yeah.
Then we'll have pie.
Then we'll have pie.
That'll be good.
And we are hosting it here.
Per their request, so.
Yeah, that's what Stan and Kay wanted, so that's what we're going to do. And I know that's hard. I know that has to be difficult for them because they love to host.
Oh, they're good hosts.
They're phenomenal hosts.
So it'll be fun. It'll be good to have everybody here. I'm excited to have family all in town for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and we wanted to give you that update before we, have everybody over and move forward with Thanksgiving. So
yeah,
she's at home. she's doing better than she was, and we just continue to hope for the best for her.
Yep.
So.
Yep. And thank you guys for all of your well wishes. It really means a lot knowing that a lot more people outside of just our immediate family really care about Grandma. Because she's very special to me, to my family, but I think it's neat that she's special to a lot of people.
You guys have always been so good about sharing your love with our family, and I think that's just such a beautiful display of humanity, you know?
Yeah.
So thank you very much for that. It is so strange. It's so strange that this is where we're at. Who would have ever thought?
Never would have guessed it.
Well, Grandma Hoellein, we couldn't love you anymore, and
We're grateful you're here.
we are grateful you're here.
Let's have some fun.
Okay.